to the Eagle Eye Podcast. The #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Go! Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. Welcome to our Lady Aguilas zone, as we'll be talking all things America Femenil. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived. Cuellar has finally departed the club. Yes, I know we're a week late into this reaction. I do apologize again. Like I said previously in the beginning of this week, it was my bad because I was out in Oakland. I was traveling for work, and we weren't unable to do the podcast. But we are here, and we're going to talk, and we're going to react to the news of Cuellar renouncing after the terrible loss against Guadalajara at home at the Estadio Azteca. Then we're going to be recapping a little bit of what happened against Santos, and we're going to look up ahead into what promises to be a very exciting game, AJ, against Monterrey. And like you guys just mentioned, today my co-host is going to be none other than Brooklyn's finest, Mr. AJ himself. AJ, how are you, my friend?
Doing good. We have plenty to talk about in this episode, and I'm very excited to talk all about it tonight.
Definitely. So, we might as well just jump into what everyone's wanting to hear. Our reactions into Cuellar finally departing the club and now no longer being part of this America institution. I'm just gonna throw it to you. I mean, emotions, how you feeling still up to this day? We still don't have a manager, of course, because the weird rules that this league has that we can't hire anyone, but just overall emotions that went through you when Cuellar turned in his resignation.
Inside my head, I was going crazy, but then my heart is just like shocked, and actually just to everyone's surprise, I know not a lot of people are going to agree, I was kind of sad just the way like he went out, actually. Me personally, because he's done so much from this team since he first arrived in 2017, and to lose at the Clásico Nacional at home in the Azteca, and then for him in that Zoom conference said, I just hand my resignation letter. The club and I, we've come to an agreement, and yeah, I'll be on my way out. Just, it was really shocking to hear. I would think it's like, surely maybe until the end of the season, it's like, that's it. But I guess this was the melting point for the office and for all the fans. Are just like, we're done. If you cannot win this Clásico, you shouldn't be here anymore. And that's exactly what just happened. He was sacked, and personally, really just shocked at the end of the day, just hearing the news about Cuellar just leaving Club America just like that.
I mean, he wasn't fired, right? I mean, he definitely turned in his letter of resignation. I think the club would have more than likely of said, you know what, we'll give you until the end of the season. But I think he was always heading out the door. Uh-huh. But yeah, I mean, it is bittersweet when you think about it, when you put it all into perspective. I know as football fans, we have this short-term memory, and all we do is focus on kind of the now. And because the results weren't really promising, then, you know, it was all about, well, why is Cuellar still in the club and stuff? But we forget, you know, the trajectory he's had with this team from its beginnings. You know, he brought us a title that is always going to go down in history. So, I mean, you know, we still have to pay the man his respects, his well dues, because he did do a lot for us. But I do think that every manager has their cycles. Every manager has their time to kind of come and go. And Cuellar extended that a little bit. And I think because of that, a lot of people just maybe are going to, you know, be a little bit salty about, you know, about that. But I think overall he will go down in history for this team as an amazing manager, because he was able to accomplish a lot with this club. And it's unfortunate that, you know, he rose so high yet to fall so low. It you know, it's a bit unfortunate in that aspect. But again, this is the world of sports. This is soccer. You know, this is how things work in this industry. It's not a pretty one, especially for managers. So, but we knew that his time was up. We knew that it you know, the players just weren't feeling that anymore. I know a lot of players came out and they said their thank yous to the manager and everything. But I think even those players would have agreed that, you know, something just wasn't clicking in that locker room anymore. I think that, you know, the tactics went, you know, we mentioned it in this podcast at one point. He just kind of, you know, at halftime, went over to the ladies, was like, gave him a little clap, and then he just left. Like, you know, it was long overdue. But I think that this is a breath of fresh air for the ladies. I think this is exactly what they needed. I mean, we saw a completely different face against Santos. You saw a little bit of extra motivation. I don't know, AJ. I mean, looking forward now from here on out. I mean, is it just kind of going to be an uphill battle, or do you think that things are going to go a little bit more smoother for the team?
It's gonna be a whole battle, especially after this season. This season is just by far the worst season that America Femini has had since the league first began. And from there, it just because we just hire someone else or just getting systematic, it doesn't mean everything's gonna be fine again. No, at this point, we need to see what the institution is going to be doing at this point, what the offices, who they're going to look for, and the manager, who's the right person to reach the goals that the institution wants to hit, which is overall, it's to win the title. That's what we want. We want to be battling against Tigres and grabbing more titles and get more than them at some point, but only time would tell. So for now, it's an uphill battle. Nothing's ever going to be easy, especially in this league, considering how teams and how they are. It's haywire, really. Just some teams are doing amazing, some teams are not doing so great. Then the next week they do amazing, and then the other weeks just bad. So it's a shift in the league. So really, it's just trying to find the right manager to coach this America Femenina side.
And look, we'll keep you guys up to date as to who this new manager is potentially going to be. I mean, AJ is going to be tracking this rumor mill like there is no tomorrow. And when we get any updates, we'll let you guys know on the podcast, and we'll let you guys know over on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. So make sure you guys follow us over there at Eagle Eye Podcast. You guys don't want to miss a second of it. It should be a very interesting thing to come up for next season. What is, it doesn't even, well, I guess it does depend on how the season ends as to, some of the players that will stay, some of the players that will go. I know some players are coming up at the end of their contract. So, I mean, who's going to get re-signed, who's not. It's an uphill battle right now for this institution. And the right people have to be behind this, AJ. I think we've mentioned that before, is that sometimes we thought that maybe it wasn't just Cuellar at the helm of this. Maybe the people that were, higher than him also had to play a part with this. And so hopefully that, these people understand that their job is also on the line at this point, and that they need to do things properly, not just by bringing in the right manager, but also bringing in the right players, keeping the right players, and maybe letting go of those that maybe don't pertain to an America jersey anymore. So it'll be an interesting thing. It's definitely going to be an interesting offseason that we're going to have for these ladies. But now I think the focus is on who's trying to secure their spot for the upcoming season, and who is kind of saying, all right, maybe I'm trying to shift directions and maybe see things elsewhere. And I think we'll kind of get an idea of who those players will be within the next upcoming games, which, by the way, we have maybe 2 games left?
Mm-hmm.
3?
3 games left in the season.
2, 3? Yeah, 3 games left.
3 games.
I mean, we have Monterrey coming up next, which we're going to be previewing. That's going to be a big game. I'm excited to see the response from this team and what they're capable to do against Rayadas.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be really exciting, especially against a tough team like Rayadas. And in the past, it's been really tough times between these two sides. Usually it's Rayadas coming out on top, and the very few occasions I think that America did win was in the Copa MX. So I think it's when we thrashed them completely. But hey, they've changed completely as a team since the league first started, and look how they are now. So this is a game that's definitely going to put America Femenina to the test and see what Hugo Ruiz or Victor Medina and the rest of the squad can do against a side that's already secure. It seems like they already secured the spot in the Liguilla this season.
And where are we right now in regards to making Liguilla?
We're in 9th place right now with the team right above us, Azul Femenina, with 22 points. And with these 3 upcoming games left in the season, those being Rayadas, Azul, and Puebla, it's going to be tough. Rayadas, at best, I'd hope they could try to get a tie out of this. Azul, they're going to need to beat them if they're going to try to get themselves into the year. And in Puebla, I need a win from that one. No ifs or buts about it.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's looking tight, right? It's looking real tight for us making playoffs at this point, because you think, well, if we are able to manage at least a draw with Rayadas. I mean, a victory would definitely cement us in a better position, but I think a draw, being a little bit more level-headed is a little bit more plausible. Not to say that these ladies can't go out there and win. And I think we're all backing them to get a win. But let's say that they do get a draw, then you're at the mercy of Cruz Azul, basically, because you cannot draw points. I mean, it's still literally in your hands at that stage, because all you have to do is beat them, and now you've maybe leveled the playing field, and then you have the big task to do against Puebla, where that, like you mentioned, AJ, that is a no-brainer. You cannot drop points whatsoever.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Especially like with Azul, I think in their next upcoming game is going to be against Chivas. Actually, Chivas have already secured the spot in the playoffs. At this point, it's best if we actually let our rivals defeat them, and then from there, because they'll be heading into the Clásico Joven with a loss. If America could get a result out of Aguilas, then coming into that Clásico, we have the upper hand away in terms of like how we did in our last game. So in that one, it's at that point, it's life or death for America Femenil. They're putting everything at stake. If they don't defeat Cruz Azul, that ends the streak for America Femenil, hitting every single Liguilla since 2017.
But now the real question is, AJ, is making the Liguilla going to be a blessing in disguise, or just overall another burden to bear with these ladies? Because I think that, it just seems difficult, right? Because we're not title contenders at this point. Mm-hmm. And I find it hard that we would make it to the semifinals,
It's going to be like the first time in a while where I feel like if we do hit the playoffs, I don't think we're going to get past the course. At this point, me personally, I would not like to make the playoffs just so we have all of that time to look into that squad and say, okay, who's going to stay? Who's going to leave? And that also gives enough time as well. We can then find a manager that is suitable for the job. If we do then happen to hit the playoffs, which I feel like everyone would like to, but at the same time, it's like they don't want to. It's mixed at that point. It's see what we can do. Who knows? They say we can maybe have a miracle run where we happen to get past that quarterfinal and we find ourselves in the semis again. And from there, we just hope for the best. If we knock out, we knock out. We can actually make a miracle run to go forward towards the final. Then, hey, maybe that's something.
No, I agree with you. And look, at this point, these last 3 games, I'm not really looking for results. I'm looking for attitude, right? Uh-huh. I'm looking at players individually and saying, okay, who's actually here to play and who's on vacation mode already? Because I know that the ladies will be looking at this and saying, all right, there's 3 games left and the probabilities of making the playoffs aren't looking very good. So maybe I should start thinking as to where my summer vacation is going to be at. Not to say that that's exactly what these players are thinking, but, just kind of more or less to get kind of a picture painted at this point is to see who's on vacation mode already and who's already and who's still thinking of there's still 3 games in the season. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to play not only for my team, but for my spot and see who's going to show out. I think that's the most important thing about all of this. And so we'll have to wait and see. But for right now, whether we make playoffs or not is not really the most essential thing for this club. I think right now the most important thing is weaving out that squad that potentially is going to be your base, your foundation for the upcoming season, and then building off of that.
You put it in perfectly, really. Like you mentioned, in these last 3 games, you're not trying to look for results, but you're trying to see attitude. You want to see who really cares about finishing the season on a high note. They want to play with 110% through every single game. If we're losing, still play to the full 90 minutes. If we're tying, play to the full 90 minutes. If we're winning, play to the full 90 minutes. Do not put your foot off of the gas pedal at this point. You don't want to do that. What I would just like to see in these last couple of games is just seeing this entire team play like they never played before. Right now where we are at the table, we can still secure a playoff spot. That should be a motivation for them to say, let's give it our all in this. Yes, it's been a ton because the manager that they worked with for a lot of these players since day one with Cuellar, or even from before when they were on the national team with them. It messes with them mentally because that's the coach that gave them hope what they saw in them, what he saw in them in the first place, and give them the starting spot in this team. But you have to push that aside now and just focus on the games that are upcoming, and play with heart and determination in these last games. That's all I would like to see.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what to see how these ladies respond in that aspect. But I don't know about you, AJ, but with some of the pictures that have been uploaded, there seems to be a whole different vibe at Guapa right now. The mood seems to be lifted a little bit, and I'm not to say that these girls are celebrating that Cuellar is gone. Of course not, but I think that there's been I feel like a certain expectation has been lifted from them, and kind of they're more like, okay, we can just do our thing now,
Yeah, no, it's just at this point it feels like as if this is a new chapter. Cuellar is now gone, and for this point, for now, we just have the assistant manager that's taking this place now. See what you can do now at this point. It's just like I mentioned before, new chapter. You're just turning over to the next page and see what this next chapter is all about. We're out of the Cuellar era now. It's now time for a different era. Who's you going to be with? We don't know yet. But for now, just give it your all. It's the last 3 games of the season. You're towards the very end. They've tried their very best in this season. While it definitely isn't the best season that they've had in an America jersey, they're still playing and they're still in contention for a playoff spot. So that's you could think of at the end of the day, there's still hope for this team. This squad can still make a push to the playoff. Difficult? Yes. Is it doable? Yes, it's possible.
I like it. Very much so, AJ. I like it very much. I am rich. I'm not gonna say the last part. It says Rocky Rodriguez has scored. Says sorry, not Club America. Just thought AJ would like to know. So AJ, there you go. They are keeping you up to date.
That's all I wanted.
There you go. Day has been made. All right, AJ. Well, let's jump from Cuellar news to a bit of America versus Santos, or Santos versus America. We were out in Torreon not too long ago, and Monday to be exact. And the ladies went out there and gave quite the performance. Give me a recap on the game against Santos, in Torreon, and just overall, what did you see from this team that was different from maybe what we've seen in past games this season?
More defensive oriented, if I could say so myself. I feel like at this one where they were some opportunities, if they weren't great looks, we're just not gonna take the risk in going for the shot. We have players like someone like Renata Huerta, who's a youngster, inexperienced. She had her very first start, if I'm not mistaken, in this season and her entire medical career. So at this one, we don't want to put all the pressure on her, especially for Daniel. Well, I feel like in this game, the offense wasn't focused so much on wanting to get the goal immediately. If they saw the right opportunity to go for a goal, they're going to go for it. If not, just wait for the opportunity to strike. In the meantime, the defense were really solid throughout that game. We had a back line of Jimena Rios, Jenny Farias, Selene Valera, and Ana Gutierrez. And to say so, they played pretty well. And Renata Mascherelli, once again, she was having the time of her life. She was just, as I say, she's built different. I don't think she's human. She had a penalty saved in this game, which was amazing. Even though at the same time, the penalty saved by Cynthia Peraza wasn't the greatest. So it made Renata Mascherelli's life very easy to save that. She made 3 saves, 4 clearances, and 2 successful aerial games. That's really great to see. Especially that, like I mentioned, since coming back from injury, seems like she never lost the defense. She kept her defense really oriented. There were some scares here and there, but in all, this is one of the games where you look at defense and people's like, I'm really happy with this result. When I'm looking at midfield, though, you see players like Eva Gonzalez and Jennifer Munoz. They were really good throughout the entire game. Yes, Jennifer Munoz. She hasn't been having the greatest time this season. It's been really tough on her, especially with COVID and the injuries. It seems like the person she once was when she first arrived in the season wasn't the same player that we saw now, but she's fighting for it. She's desperately trying to find the form that she first had when she arrived in America, where everyone looked at her saying she's the next best player or the next big thing in this America Feminine squad. And it's good. She has the drive. She has the motivation. Everything there is to it to become a top player again for this America Feminine side and help out. And she was playing as a right midfielder, which is a new position that she's been playing. You usually see her in a center mid role, but just all in all, it's a good start. The first game without Cuellar, 2-1 win.
Interesting. And then the manager also, the intern manager, got a red card, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, and it was ridiculous. I was looking. I think they were having the cameras pointed towards the field, but then when I just saw Hugo Reis, he was just walking. I was like, wait, where's he going? And then Mariano Ramos is like, yeah, he's getting kicked out. He's getting shown the red cards. Like, for what did he? And I think what it was, well, I'm gonna assume he was complaining to the referee about a call, I think it was, or something. And the referee's like, I had enough. I want you out. He gladly went out, and then our other assistant manager, Victor Medina, took the spot instead for the rest of the 34 minutes of the match.
And the rest of the next game as well is what he's going to be doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting. Well, I mean, America's manager problems just don't seem to be disappearing anytime soon, AJ. That's the funny thing about all of this. But it's interesting that you mentioned that, there's players with an extra drive, an extra spark. Jen Munoz being specifically one player to highlight because, let's face it, she has not had the best season or the best, football year when you take in consideration how the calendar works. But it's good to see that there's that drive and that motivation that is slowly building back up. And like you mentioned, she has every potential to be the key to this America side. It's just, getting back to the rhythm of things. And slowly but surely, I think we'll see the best of Jen. Hopefully by the end of the season, and they will loom very promising for the upcoming season. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Renata Huerta, your thoughts on her? I mean, this is someone that kind of falls in the same category as Jen, as a very promising player, obviously much younger than Jen, and someone who at one point was, correct me if I'm mistaken, but was quoted as Ronaldinha.
Ronaldinha. No, like her. It was surprised to actually see her get the start, but I think as well it's just to hit the minute requirements for youngsters in the league, which we haven't really been doing much. So I guess at this point in the season, we need to let the youngsters play. Renata Huerta, while she didn't have much of the ball, nor really a shot on target, there is some promise there. Like from the last season, where she was like joined alongside with youngsters like Zaira Moreno, there's promise in them, and I would love to see Renata Huerta play more. And if I'm not mistaken as well, the league has started. I think the league has already started their U17, and I would like to see if she gets sent down there and get to play and see how it is. But I don't think we have like any news on that yet. So if anything, I like to see her go down to the U17 side, play a couple of games, see how she is. If she does good, put her back up to the first team, and then, hey, give another shot at the starting spot again. I see promise in her, and I'd say she's got a spot here in this team in the future.
Definitely someone to keep an eye out on, and looks like someone who's very confident on the ball as well. So, if she can continue to grow, and like you mentioned, I think more playing time is definitely going to benefit her in the long run. So we'll have to wait and see. Last note to take away from this game, I think you mentioned it, Renata Mascherelli. I mean, America's got their number one, and if they haven't done so already, they got to sign her on a 5-year contract deal because, my goodness, is she have been impressive, right? I mean, it seems like America was just sitting on a gem this whole time. And to see that we finally have found a very good, consistent number one. Not to say that JD wasn't good either, but I think you mentioned that the injuries, the inconsistency that brought into play definitely didn't help her case. And now I think that Mascherelli has taken the opportunity that has been presented to her, and she's not looking to give it up anytime soon. So hopefully, she can continue that good run of form, and maybe she can merit a national team call-up as well. I think that would be very impressive and very good too. So, kudos to Renata for doing what she's been doing.
She's just amazing on and off the pitch. Off the pitch, she just puts a bunch of memes on her Twitter account, just no filter at all. She just puts anything. And then when it comes to in-game as well, she's just a completely different person. Like I said, she's built different, a machine. And like you mentioned, we might have finally found our number one, where I feel like we're not going to constantly rotate our goalkeepers just say, no, we're sticking with you unless you are not at 100%. We're going to take you out and put either JD or Natalia Acuña or Camila Martinez. Whoever that goalie is going to be in there, I feel like for now, there's no need to take from Monterrey, especially with her forming games. Yeah, we're still trying to find a goalkeeper that, doesn't come off her line as much, because I feel like with every goalkeeper we had to make a feminine, it's an ongoing problem, and I just don't know why they just can't stay right by the line and not just overextend. But all in all, she's been playing amazing ever since she got that start from last season. She's just been amazing since. Very few games where we had to look at her and Chris is like, yeah, this was a really bad game. And every other game, it's just like, well played, amazing.
Definitely, and I am going to be her biggest critic, of course, but I think she's definitely done her part to keep me very much on the more quiet side. I do have to say, round of applause to her, because she's completely taking the whole team by storm in cementing herself, and hopefully she can continue that good run of form and develop, because she's still young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
no. And as you mentioned as well, the call to the national team, someone did say that how if it gets a time for her to get the call up, and I agree with that person. Does she deserve a call at some point in the future if it's an international friendly or for Olympic qualifiers? Yes, definitely. Especially since we'll get to news about the women's national team, because they were calls from the America Feminine side, but only 2 goalkeepers were called up for the upcoming friendlies, and they could have definitely used a third goalie, and I feel like Monterrey could have definitely been one of them.
Interesting. Well, I mean, that pretty much wraps up from that. America versus Santos. I mean, we don't really want to dive too much into it because we didn't really preview it. But it was a good overall, confidence booster coming into this Rayadas game, and then we'll have to wait to see how the ladies respond in regards to that. And we'll talk a little bit more America Feminine news in just a second. But AJ, before we jump into our next segment, I do want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you by Footcult. And if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check out footcult.com, and you guys can get 10% off all Footcult products if you guys use the discount code EEP at checkout. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off all Footcult products. And if you guys haven't done so already, follow them on Twitter and Instagram. Look, there's going to be some really, really, really good stuff dropping very soon. And when I mean very soon, it's literally right around the corner. So you do not want to miss a second of it. Okay? We've been working real hard. We've been working real close to with our partners over at Footcult. And we really, really hope that you guys enjoy what is about to drop within the next couple of weeks. I'm telling you guys, it's been cooking for a while. We've been working at it. We've been throwing paint. We've been throwing glue. We've been throwing glitter. We've been doing it all to try to make this product the best that it can be. And AJ, I think you agree with me that the things that we have lined up are definitely special.
There's one shirt in particular that I'm looking forward to and just seeing Christian wear on the podcast when we have a certain segment on the Eagle Eye podcast, and I actually cannot wait. I saw the preview and I'm like, wonderful. I love it.
Definitely. So if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check out Footcult. Use discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off all football products, and be on the lookout for a very, very special drop within these next upcoming weeks. All right, AJ, talk to me about Lady Aguilas news in the world of Coapa. I know you mentioned Mexican national team news, but anything else?
There's not else in everything really. It's just all about the women's national. It's all about the women's national team. For the Selección Nacional Femenil, 4 America Femenil players were called up, and those players are Janely Farias, Justin Orejel, Daniela Espinosa, and Montse Hernandez, which is really great to see. And for the sub-20, we have 2 more players from America Femenil called, and those are Natalia Acuña and Hannah Gutierrez, which is really good things to see. The sub-20 did play earlier today against Brazil, and they lost 1-0. Natalia Acuña did not get the start, and I'm pretty sure that Hannah Gutierrez did not see any play time. They will be playing Brazil again sometime, I think, by Monday or so. And for the senior squad, tomorrow actually, Mexico are going to be playing against Slovakia at 8 a.m. in the morning. And then on Tuesday, April 13th, they will be playing against Spain at 1 p.m.
Definitely. We'll be able to catch any of those games live?
Yes. Actually, a lot of fans have pleaded to do that in Mexico and United States. Is the game going to be aired? Is the game going to be aired? Will it be on live television? And they came with a response, yes, it's going to be aired. At first, everyone thought, don't tell me it's a re or mean like we're going to have to watch at some other point. But they say, no, it's going to be live. We got you. They said do that in Mexico. And then when I got the confirmation that it will also be do that in USA, thank goodness, because I'm going to wake up at that time to watch this match. And I'm excited for it.
Is it 8 a.m. your time?
Yes, 8 a.m. my time. So that's going to be what, 5 a.m. your time?
That's 5 a.m. for us. No one's waking up at that time. No one. Maybe me because I got to go to work in the next morning, but that's about it.
There you go. So, hey, you could probably catch it.
Catch a little bit of it. Yeah, maybe. But correct me if I'm wrong, but we won't have those players at our disposal for the Monterrey game, correct?
We have Fecha FIFA. Remember, the game is not going to be played for America Femenil. If I'm not mistaken, that is until I think it's
right.
until the 19th. So yeah, no, we'll definitely have them, but probably they might see the bench because they're just coming back from the international break. So
yeah, you know what? I don't know why I've been caught in two different worlds, AJ. I'm sorry, but yes, you're right. Though we should be good for Monterrey. It's gonna be interesting to see these ladies, get some minutes. I'm looking at Dani Espinosa specifically. I think that a chance to score against Spain. I mean, can you imagine what a confidence booster that would be for a player like her?
Or against Slovakia as well. And what's actually the interesting part when I did look at the roster, she's put in as a midfielder, and I feel like that's the role she's gonna start embracing because I complain a lot about her being a midfielder when she's not. But she has some of the characteristics of a right midfielder. She's got that pace, the dribbling ability. She could definitely get on the one-on-ones. Her crosses, they're not too bad, even though I feel like there are times she would send them way over, way off target or over. But she's got some characteristics, and that's good for her on the national team and good for the squad because if we ever want to put players, for example, like Renata Huerta or Dani Flo up front or Dani Flo, Dalia Molina, whoever the case may be, and we want to put in Dani, we could just put her in that right midfielder spot. So, hey, it's good to see, but for her to score against Slovakia, that'd be a huge confidence booster, especially with that upcoming game against Reyes or Mecca Feni after the international break. That would be amazing.
It definitely would be. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. And, I mean, not just her, but, Monse getting some minutes and then, of course, Jocelyn and then Janelli, doing their thing. I think that's going to be the most important thing. Solidifying that defensive unit, I think, is important. And, slowly but surely, we're going to see a very well-rounded America side for this upcoming season if they're able to get minutes with the national team and if they're able to build that confidence from there. I think that's the most important thing I think we want to take away from this. But, yeah, keep in tune with that. AJ is going to let you guys know if any of our ladies score or anything. I'm sure he will have a GIF ready for you guys over on Twitter, so make sure you guys are following not only us but him as well. He's going to keep you guys up to date with everything, and yeah, we can't wait to see what the ladies bring. All right, AJ, let's talk America versus Rayadas. Rayadas versus America. Actually, no, we're hosting them if I'm not mistaken, correct? Or we're going over there. No. We're going over there. Sorry, I was remembering the last game that we played against them. My bad. Which is not something you want to bring up, Not only was it a terrible game, but it was a dear life and death experience for me eating a chicken wing. So it's not exactly my most fondest memory of America Femenil. But coming into this game, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't think we're looking at this game and thinking, okay, they need to go out there, they need to win, they need to do. Obviously, that's what we want. But objectively, I think we're looking at this and saying, okay, let's look at the way that they work together now. Let's look at how they respond to being without a manager. Will they play for each other? Or do these ladies have different agendas? Or are they all on the same page, right? Is the mood and the vibe that they have at training going to reflect what they do out on the pitch? I think that's the most important things that we're trying to take away from these matches. It's not so much we're going to have to play very defensively and then we're going to have to get them on the counter. It's going to be like, okay, let's just take the game minute by minute. Let's try to absorb as much as we can. We don't expect this game to be a perfect one. It's hard to do when your third assistant in charge is going to be the one making the calls. So, I mean, what can we expect from this match?
It's just one of those things from the get-go. When that ball gets rolling, that match got to Victor Medina's got to look into it's like, okay, I want to see how my team is gonna play. If we need to make adjustments now to the game, just talk to a player to quickly say, hey, start going up front or look onto that specific, like get on this player. Wherever they're gonna need to do. As for the ladies in this case, they just gotta play the game that they usually do. Just not even try the bat. I just want to see determination and effort 100% from the get-go. Don't give up at any point. If Reyes happens to score an early goal on you, just think about immediately, okay, how we're going to get our goal back. I don't want them to sit back and soak up all that pressure from Reyes because Rayadas, they're a very deadly team. And if you give them too much space or you respect them too much, they're going to punish you completely, especially with the forwards that they have up at their disposal. You just definitely don't want to be giving any of their players the opportunity to score. And if their forwards are having a bad day, their midfielders can even score. And if their midfielders are having a bad day, they just look at their defense like, hey, you can do the job. They can score. At this point, I make it just to be really careful throughout this entire side. They need to play for the result. If anything, I would just like I mentioned before, a draw from this side. A win, it's possible because Ariasa had a bit of some shakeups late. Almost lost up. They not lost, but they were defeating Puebla. But I give them a scare with a couple of late goals into the game. So we can give a scare like that to Rayas. That's good. But for now, you just need to go head to head with the team that's already secured their spot in the league. They already secured their spot in the Liguilla, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, so in this case, it's just really Rayas. They're going to be playing with everything. They don't want to lose to America. They don't want to drop points. America, the same case. They just need to take that game to Reyes. It's going to be a very difficult task at hand, but these A's can do it. They've been through a lot of challenges in past seasons and played against this Rayada side numerous times. They know how they're going to play. With that knowledge in their head, know how they can find out their weaknesses on the pitch.
Definitely. I think you mentioned that. I think what we want to see is heart, right? We want to see them play for the jersey, play for the colors, play for the badge, play for this institution, and really try to cement yourself as a player going forward, Because I think that when you look at America and you think, okay, possibilities, sometimes can be endless. I just want to see someone that will reflect the cultures and the values of this club out on that pitch, that will go out there, that will play at 110%, regardless of what that scoreline is. If you're running, if you're fighting, if you're doing all the right things, then I think that should be well applauded. And it's not to say that our standards have completely dropped, and to say, if America is able to, get away with a draw, then that's, going to be amazing. Look, at the end of the day, this season's still going to go down as the worst season in history as America. And we're still going to criticize them for having this season because it's unacceptable as a professional and being an America player, right? But at this point, you have to kind of, taper the expectations and say, okay, we have to build this little by little and kind of being objective and trying to say, look, okay, I'm just looking at you to do certain things, a different way. I want to see if you can respond to the pressure. I want to see if you are up for the challenge. And each player will either pass that or fail that. And then in these upcoming games, not just the Rayadas game, but the Cruz Azul one and against Puebla, those are the matches that are really going to kind of showcase as to who wants to play for this club. And that is, I think, the most important thing that we have to take away from it. You're right, though, AJ. We can't just be willy-nilly and go out there and just say, look, we're just here because we're going to just play this game because we have to, right? Like, that's not the attitude that any team should have, let alone a team like America. So they have to go out there. They have to look for the game. They got to want it as a unit, and we'll have to see whether they can respond. So
this game against Rayadas, I'm excited for it. But at the same time, I'm just going to be thinking, all right, at this point, I look at it and I then also think in the perspective of the viewpoint of the club and their perspective, who's going to be staying at Copa next season? Who's the players going to be like, that's it. Thank you for everything. You're done. But I think we're going to need to find another team that could definitely use a player like you, but we just don't fit the requirements of what we're looking for as a club for trying to reach our goals. It's going to be tough, but this one, like you mentioned, you want to see who has heart, who has passion, who wants to wear the club's colors and jerseys in these last couple of games, because that's all, because it could be their last time they play in America jersey and playing for another team.
Yeah,
To
I mean,
play in this institution for another season or more.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Then you put it perfectly, and it's going to be up to them, you know. And I think we're going to look at individual players that most likely will get the start. I mean, you're going to look at Renata to try to keep, America at bay, or at least Rayadas at bay, and hopefully, we can rely on her to keep it at 0 as much as possible. But then you're looking at players like Yaneli Farias, someone with experience that I think is going to have to be a big step up in games like this against the Rayadas. Jalson Oregel, I think, another player that we want her to try to continue to solidify some defensiveness, with this team. And look at a player like Eva to continue, rolling and keep it going. I think Renata will play again, Renata Huerta, because of the minutes situation that we still need to kind of fulfill. So what is she going to be capable of doing, right? I mentioned she's not afraid to do that, to get on that 1v1 situation. So I just want to see her a little bit more active in that sense and be a little bit more daring, be a little bit more adventurous. Take a shot from 20 yards out. You never know, Jen, another player that we're going to be looking at, right? So I think the one, though, that is going to stand out, the one that I think must have a game, and I really truly want to see her response, is Dani Espinosa.
Yeah, no, it's been, like mentioned once again, tough season. Dani Espinosa, while she has 5 goals to her name, it just hasn't been the greatest time for her in America jersey. And I can just also say for everyone, just it hasn't been the greatest season, especially with how things have turned out. But I would just love to see her coming back from international break and head into the Zayas game with the goal in mind. I want to score a goal for my team, 1, 2, 3, however that can be, or just assist her teammates out. I would just love to see that. Some of that selfishness that she may display at times when it comes to play. See what she could try to do at this point. If she's really confident herself to take that shot from 20 yards out, whatever the case is, or take on bunch of ass, let it be. If she knows she cannot do that, assist your teammates in any single way possible. Or who knows, you can get the ball back. Just give a pass to a teammate, whoever's right next to you. Make that play for them, and get yourself the opportunity to take that shot on target, and who knows, score. If it gets blocked, good effort. You made that goalkeeper work. So yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Dani Espinosa, that's a player I would like to see stand out in this match.
Definitely, and I think she has a little bit of a spine on her back, because this is obviously the team that she kind of bottled or kind of choked up against in the playoffs. So I think mentally in that it's going to be looming over her, and I just want to see whether or not she's capable of going and getting over that hump, which I think would mean the world to her, really, because I think if she can bury the past, bury the ghost of that semifinal against Rayadas, then I think that we'll be seeing a much better Dani Espinosa for the upcoming season, because we can only go so far into this one that I think we mentioned, AJ. We don't really expect it to go all the way to the final, but you never know. They might surprise us. Maybe America could be the first team in history to win the league without having an actual manager.
Could you repeat that part again? Because you were cutting out towards the end.
I said America could be the first team in history to win the league without having an actual manager.
Oh my Lord! I think we would go crazy if that was the case. But hey, you never know. You never know. This league, it's just like the men's league, where a team could be doing great one season, and next season they're just completely terrible, or just results in week in and week out. Just everyone's just going up and down the table, or the weakest teams are just defeating the biggest teams. And the biggest teams, they cannot do anything to stop the smaller teams. So, hey, you never know what can happen, especially the last 3 games of the season. I think there's like a bunch of teams that are like either 1 or 2 points apart between, I think, like 6th, or I think it's like 10th as well. So, like, all these teams actually have an opportunity to break into a spot to get a playoff. So, at this point, it's life or death for them. And it's pretty fun. I love seeing chaos.
Yep. Chaos is definitely one of our most favorite flavors here on the podcast. So, Jacob saying, I have a question. When Cuellar was still the coach, he would rotate the goalkeepers a lot. But since he left, is it going to be Renata Masciarelli now? And I think we answered this a little bit earlier in the podcast, AJ. I think that she cemented herself as the starting goalkeeper. And I think you agreed with me that I think we finally found that one goalkeeper that we can continuously stick with and not have to worry about rotating every other game with.
Yeah, no. Just at this point, it's just like when we had Cecilia Santiago at first. We finally found we have the goalkeeper who we know we could definitely trust in and put all of our confidence in. We will only take Mascherei out. And honestly, at this point, if we need to give someone a playing time, if whether Mascherei is not feeling 100% or she just has an injury, at that point, it's like, yes, we're going to give someone else the spot. But if Mascherei is all good and 100% ready to play, she's definitely taking that spot, and no one's going to be taking it from her now.
Definitely. So thank you, Jacob, for your question. We always love the interaction that you guys have with us on the podcast. All right, AJ, prediction time. Give me your prediction for the game against Rayadas.
I got myself going with a 1-1 draw in this one.
1-1 draw. I'm going to back it up. I'm going to go 1-1 with you as well. I think the ladies have what it takes to get away with a draw, at least. But who knows? They might come surprising and they might win. You know, they might just beat Rayadas 7-0.
Oh my goodness! It reminds me back of the Copa MX day where it's like some of those those same core players that are in that Raya squad, they witnessed that thrashing and they just wondered what's going on. But this is at a time when we had players like Lucero Cuevas, Gascos, who we still have, Daniela Espinosa, and Montse just all up front. When you saw those four, it's just like have fun defending against that. If one of them don't have the ball, those other three are gonna be having the ball. At that point, it's like you're moving your head in the circles, like who has that ball, who's gonna try to score on me. That was a fun time to witness.
Definitely. Well, Jacob's going with a 2-2 draw. He's saying there's gonna be more than 2 goals in this one. That sounds like a pretty fun game to watch. We'll see what happens though.
Depends how that 2-2 draw is gonna happen. That depends how it's happening.
That is true, because if we're winning and we draw, that's gonna be heartbreak. Gonna be complete heartbreak.
Just like
but don't worry.
Just like the Tigres game.
Yes, exactly, just like Tigres. All right, but either way, I think we're in a pretty good position, and we'll have to wait and see. Again, we're not looking so much as what the scoreline says, but what the players said on that pitch is going to be really what we're taking away from this. AJ, anything else to add on before we wrap things up here? Jacob saying Renata Masciarelli ties it at the last minute.
She would truly cement herself. It's like you have to start. We give her a lifelong contract, and at that point, Monica Vergara is looking at her. It's like, yeah, I'm starting to call you up now for good. I'm calling you up. That's that.
Like, yeah. Name your price, Renata. Name your price if you do score that. No, but yeah, definitely. That would be something. That would definitely be something. But yeah, like I said, anything else to add
on? There's 2 things I would like to talk about, and just like knowing what Cuellar has done, I kind of want to give time to with all the jokes inside, all that thrashing, just talk about what he's done as a manager for this squad. He's managed 141 games for America Femenina. He's won 81 games, tied 34, and lost 26. A win percentage is 69% in that. That's good for league standards. The title won. He gives that 2018 Apertura win against Tigres at the Volcan, where we defeated Tigres Femenil in penalties. And he's brought us a lot of things. He sent the very first player from the Liga MX Femenil, if I'm not mistaken, to Europe, and that was Cecilia Santiago. He got that the 2018 Apertura title win. He recorded history by defeating Morelia at 12-1, which overtook Tigres' 9-0 win, which this record still stands to this very day. And I don't think anyone's ever going to break that. His team qualified for every single league that he imagined, except I think the only one that was like the 2020, I think Apertura, I think it was when it got canceled to COVID. His team scored 243 goals and only conceded 85 of them. And you know the name Leonardo Cuellar. He was a women's soccer pioneer in Mexico. Managed the team from 1998 to 2016 when he resigned from the national team. to go into the newly developed league, which will end up becoming the Liga MX Femenil. And he built the program as well and brought many players that played in America Femenil that were on the Mexico national team, which is why you see many of those players like Justin Roya, and Espinosa, Janae Gonzalez, a lot of players that's worked them on the U teams, and that was their manager. And then when it was their time to go find another team, where it's like, you got inspired my team, come to America, and look what he's done.
Look what he's done. We lost 4-2 to Chivas, AJ. My goodness. My freaking goodness. What legacy he's left. I'm kidding. No, jokes aside. He definitely merits the respect and look, he won't get it from everyone at this point because everyone's still very bitter as to how the season has been going. But give it some time. I promise you he will go down in history. As one of the greatest managers in this league because of what you just mentioned. I mean, those numbers are ridiculous, AJ. Ridiculous.
That's what I was doing. I was looking it up and I'm making this segment for. I'm just like, oh my god, 243 goals. And I think I actually even have the stat line too. I think the most goals that we scored in a single season that was on our very best was in the 2018 Clausura. We had 48 goals scored and only conceded 11. This is the time where, like I said, we had Lucero Cuevas, Daniela Espinosa up front, and Cascuero, so she was just like a second forward. It was disgusting at those times to see America Femenil back when we were separated in groups, and we arguably had the easiest group, and we looked at every team just like, we're gonna score goals on you for fun, as if it was practice at this point.
Definitely, man. And look, hey, it's gonna go down in history as one of the most remarkable managers to ever manage in this league. And of course, whatever he's done for women's soccer in Mexico is definitely not gonna go unnoticed. So he will definitely have a very fond place in everyone's heart for what he's been able to build. But like I told you, AJ, fans are very short-term memory, and all they care about right now is the now, is not the past, and then they're looking into the future. And unfortunately, Cuellar is not in that future for America anymore. Which I think, let's face it, I don't think he will come back. I think he's aiming closer to retirement. But as I say that, I also hope that his son never comes near this club either. And let's hope that the Cuellar family kind of just ends there at the moment,
Yeah. And like you mentioned, in terms of memory, we're like goldfishes. We just have a 1 second memory span, and then it's gone. It's like, okay, what happened next? What? So
exactly. But I mean, what more could we say, right? Jacob has another question for us. I know this is off topic, but Ivan, how come you stopped with the Karimo videos? They were really, really good. Look, Jacob, I just have not had the time. If I did, I promise you, I enjoy making those, right? I enjoy sitting in front of the TV, just recording, putting my manager hat on and trying to take America to that glorious title. But the time that it takes to record that, then edit that, then put that all together, upload it, make the graphic for that as well. I mean, I believe me, it sounds like I'm complaining about it. I'm not. I really love doing all those things. But it's just the time of day it's I don't have enough hours, right? With work, then I have to focus on the podcast as well, and I have my own personal life outside of this as well. So it's just been hard to really juggle. But maybe if I find a way to maybe make some longer episodes with a lot more content, I definitely would enjoy doing that. But Jacob, thank you so much. I'm glad to know that you enjoyed that, and maybe I will get back into it, maybe during the off season, who knows. But thank you, Jacob. Thank you so much.
The second thing I would like to talk about, it's a serious topic that has been going on in the past couple of days. So if people do not know, Real Madrid Femenino goalkeeper Misa Rodriguez, she posted a photo in which she was where she had a picture of celebrating when her team defeated at the Atletico Madrid and the Clásico, where her team won the very first Clásico, and then Real Madrid on last week it was, they defeated Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken. They defeated against Liverpool, and then she posted a photo where she both celebrated a picture of Marco Asensio and herself celebrating, saying "misma pasión," and a bunch of disgusting people were trying to throw hate at Misa Rodriguez with misogyny, and it's absolutely disgusting to the point that it had her taking the picture down completely. And then a lot of soccer players together for the men's and women's side took pictures of themselves having a picture of them celebrating a goal or a win with their teammates. And then the men's as well were using photos of themselves celebrating and also putting themselves along with other female soccer players that play on the same club and pointing misma pasión. And it's just really great to see that how a lot of people were backing Misa Rodriguez up for posting a photo alongside with one of her with a teammate that plays at the same club for the men's side. And it's just ridiculous to how people think it's appropriate to just give a bunch of hate to a female soccer player that's just trying to post up for her just celebrating a win and compare it to a men's win. And just people just want to write off as like, no, that you shouldn't be playing soccer, like that's nothing to be celebrating about, or they just want to say some BS thing that women's soccer is completely different from men's soccer, but you're both playing the same sport at the very end of the day.
No, yeah, you're right, AJ. You're right. It's ridiculous, and but it goes to show you how global this sport is, and how unified the culture is. Obviously, you're always going to get your bad eggs here and there, and those are the ones that really mess it up for everyone. But like you mentioned, that the unity that the world, the global sport came together to unify for one player, I think it's just it speaks volumes, right? And it goes to show that we have evolved and that we have completely come kind of full circle at this and said, you know what, they're equally as important. There's no need to kind of downplay their achievements, because they're worth just as much. And so I think it's a beautiful thing that they came together. The Real Madrid players, not just that, but you just mentioned that teams across the world, saw Everton, so many teams. I know America did it as well, Cruz Azul Femenil as well, the Cruz Azul men's. I mean, you saw just a bunch of teams across the world, the global sport, just coming together and saying, you know what, we're here, we stand tall, and we're backing you. And so it just goes to show you that there are much less of them and much more of us at the end. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it. And so, we will always advocate for the women's sport as much as we do for the men's. And what more can we tell you,
Well said.
Definitely. Well, I think that should wrap it up for us, AJ, though.
That's everything.
Right? That is everything. Alrighty then. Well, AJ, I want to say thank you for joining me today, and thank you to everyone that was out here watching. Jacob especially, I know he's very active in the comments, so thank you so much, Jacob. He's saying thank you guys for keeping me up to date. As always, we will try to do our best here at the Eagle Eye Podcast in regards to that aspect. AJ, I know today is a big day for you, and I want to give a shout out to your mother. I know it's her birthday today, so shout out to Miss Juarez, correct? And so shout out to her, and I hope that you that she's having a lovely birthday, and I hope that you were able to enjoy with her as well today. And let us know when the recalentón is going to be, okay? So we can all go and join there. But no, yes, thank you so much, AJ. I know you took some time out of the day in order to come and do this. I know that it was a very special day for you and your family. So again, just want to extend our congratulations and some very big happy birthday wishes to your mother over there in Brooklyn. And thank you to everyone again for tuning in. We will be back next week to talk about more America Femenil stuff. Maybe recap what happened with the Mexican national team. We'll see what happened in regards to those two games. Again, AJ will have you guys covered. Follow us over on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and we'll keep you guys up to date. And don't forget to follow our sponsors, Foot Cult, because I mentioned those drops are coming very, 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 very soon, and you guys do not want to miss a second of it. All right, AJ, any last words before we kind of wrap it up?
Just thank you so much for the happy birthday wishes. Really appreciate it. My mother loves it. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. You guys have a wonderful time. You guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. We'll be back next week. You guys stay safe, wear your mask, and as always, Arriba America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may